Is your marketing working? Is the time and money that you're investing in marketing translating into profit? Marketing measurement is one of the most important but overlooked aspects of any successful marketing strategy, which is why I want to talk to you about it today. Some people don't do it at all because they think it's just not possible to measure effectively. And some people start off measuring things, but then they stop because what they're measuring doesn't actually help them make decisions about what to do going forwards. And some people try measuring everything and get completely overwhelmed and give up. I'm Ros Conkey, and in this video tutorial I'm going to explain briefly how to measure effectively while keeping things simple and keeping it manageable for a small business, because goodness knows it's very easy to make marketing very, very complicated. So if you've seen any of my other videos, then you'll probably know that I didn't start my career in marketing. I actually did a degree in mechanical engineering, and my first graduate job was as a design engineer in a small robotics company. And when I first started, my boss, who was the MD, said, "Do you know, Ros, I think you'd be good in marketing and sales." And I thought, oh no, I don't want to do that fluff. I've got an engineering degree. Marketing is all creative nonsense and it's just illogical fluff. So, but I didn't say that to my new boss, obviously. Instead, I started working in marketing and sales thinking I'll just find my way back into engineering pretty soon. But actually, as I started working in marketing, I realized that bad marketing is fluff. We've all seen it, haven't we? But good marketing is very structured. It's methodical. It follows a process. It's based on analysis and research. It's carefully designed and planned and project managed. It's tested and measured and incrementally improved. And good marketing is efficient and effective. And all of a sudden, it starts to sound a lot like engineering. So I talk about having a marketing machine that churns out long-term loyal customers. So how would you go about designing and building that? Well, you'd engineer it, wouldn't you? So my career's kind of come full circle now, because the way I do marketing, and particularly measurement, is the way I was taught how to do engineering 20 years ago. So the most common question that people ask me about measuring their marketing is this one: am I getting a return on investment from my marketing? This is a really important question to ask, but the problem is that most people assume that the only way to answer this question is to work out what your ROI is. Now, I'm here to tell you, you don't need to know what your ROI is. You only need to know, is the money I'm spending on marketing generating profit? Yes or no? Or am I wasting my money? Now, these questions are subtly different because now we're not trying to work out a complicated ratio of return on investment. We're just trying to find a go, no-go budget for your marketing. We want to work out a number that if you're spending less than this budget, you're making money. And if you're spending more, then you're not. If you're spending a lot less than your budget, then you're really winning. So, that's when we scale things up. So how do we work out this number? Well, today I'm going to give you a quick explanation of how to do this. Now, the wonderful thing about marketing now, compared to when I started working in marketing about 20 years ago, is that we have so much data at our fingertips. Now, the downside is that we have so much data at our fingertips. Marketing data is it's a rabbit hole, isn't it? That it's too easy to fall into this rabbit hole, and I've fallen into that trap myself so many times, and I've had customers who have also tried to mine their data for useful insights, only to fall into that hole and drag themselves out and run away screaming. So believe me, I know this problem very well. The difficulty is keeping your measurements as simple as possible, while also having enough data to provide valuable insights. Now, fortunately, it's possible to get incredibly valuable insights from not a lot of data. You just need the right data. So what's the right data? Well, the most important metrics that you can measure are your conversion rates. Conversion rates tell you where your marketing is working and where there are opportunities to improve. So a conversion rate is the percentage of people who successfully move from one step in their decision-making process to the next. So for example, if I wanted to see how successful my landing page on my website is, then I would look at how many people are visiting the page and how many people click on the call to action button, and what's the percentage of people who visit the page that click on my call to action. So it doesn't matter how many people click on my page. Maybe I get 20 people to the page or 20,000. It's irrelevant. That's unimportant for my conversion rates to see how successful my page is. The important thing is, of those people who go to my website, how many of them click on the next step, the call to action button. So is it 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 or 1 in 5 or what? That's your conversion rate. And we need to know what our conversion rates are through our whole customer's buyer journey. So what's a buyer journey? So your customer's buyer journey is how they go from never having heard of you before to being a loyal customer who keeps coming back and tells all their friends about you. Every business has a different buyer journey. Some businesses have fairly short buyer journeys. For example, maybe your customer sees your product, they like the look of it, read the information about it, add it to cart, buy it, whatever that process is like. And if they like it, then they keep buying it. So that's a pretty short buyer journey. There aren't that many steps in it. But other businesses have much longer buyer journeys. And this generally happens when there's a lot more perceived risk in the purchase. So if someone's buying something expensive, or if there are lots of people involved in the decision, or if making the wrong decision could have big consequences for them. If they're buying something for their whole company and they make the wrong decision, then it could impact on their promotion or their relationship with their boss, or it could have all kinds of consequences. So in those situations where there's a big perceived risk, and it is just perception, if there is a big perceived risk, they'll naturally slow themselves down in their decision-making process. And I find the journey analogy really helpful, because especially when measuring, because I can kind of imagine people on this journey walking through gates. I find it easier to imagine counting people walking through a gate on their journey, passing a point on their journey, than to try and think about kind of people making their invisible decision-making process in some abstract way. What can I measure? I find that sort of harder to get my head around than kind of imagining people on a journey, where I can kind of imagine them passing through a gate on that journey. So that analogy helps me personally to work out what would be useful to measure. So why are conversion rates so important? Well, let's say that your business currently gets 20 leads per month, and those leads currently turn into 5 new customers, let's say. If you want to double your business, you've got 2 options. You can either double the number of leads, get 20 leads a month get 40 leads instead of 20. So you can either double the number of leads that you're generating per month, or you can convert twice as many leads into customers. So get the same number of leads, same 20 leads, but convert twice as many into customers, so that you're getting 10 customers out of 20 leads instead of just 5. Now, a lot of the work that will increase your conversion rates involves stuff like improving your processes, creating content, creating templates, resources, all of that kind of stuff. It only needs to be done once, and then everyone who passes along your journey, passes through that gate, will benefit from it. It's a one-off investment, more or less. You might need to update it, but it's more or less a one-off investment. So, but on the other hand, if I want to double the number of leads I get, then I've probably got to double the amount that I spend on marketing every single month. I've got to do twice as much advertising, or go to twice as many events, or do twice as much telesales, or whatever it is that's generating you the leads. So in short, option 1, generating twice as many leads, means you've got to spend twice as much money on marketing every month. While option 2, on the other hand, in doubling your conversion rates, that'll cost you a one-off investment to increase those conversion rates. But after that, once you've made that investment, then you're going to get twice as many sales without increasing your monthly spend. So do you want to spend twice as much on marketing every month? Or do you want to invest in your marketing once and then spend the same amount but get twice the return? Now, obviously, in practice, things are a bit more complicated than this, but hopefully you can understand the principle of it. And the other problem with only increasing lead generation without watching what your conversion rates are doing is that a lot of marketing isn't actually as scalable as it looks. People often find that They might double their advertising spend, for example, but it doesn't necessarily give them twice as many leads. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So you've really got to watch your conversion rates to make sure that you're getting profit, you're getting the a good return on investment. So let me give you an example of how you might measure your buyer journey. And I'm going to use word of mouth as an example, because most businesses get some, if not all, of their business from word of mouth. A lot of my clients when they first come to me, all of their business comes from word of mouth. So I'm going to use that as an example. So first of all, a prospect is introduced by a referrer, maybe a customer or someone who knows about you. Let's say this is my business. So someone knows about me, prospect is introduced to me. Then my prospect books a call with me. Then we have a call and I send them a proposal. And then after they look at that proposal and then they agree to the project. So those are gates that on my buyer journey that I can measure the number of people at each of those stages. So once I started measuring how many people I'm getting, let's say each month I might introduce how many prospects did I get, how many introductions did I get each month, how many calls booked did I get each month, this month, how many proposals did I send out, and how many new clients did I get. So I can measure those things on a regular basis. And then once I've got those measurements, then I can work out what percentage of people are converting from one stage to the next. And that gives me my conversion rates. So again, I'm going to make this really simple. Let's pretend that all of the conversion rates across my buyer journey are 50%. They're not, but let's pretend that across my buyer journey, all of my conversion rates are 50%. So once we know what our conversion rates are, we can think about where can I improve. If I'm measuring on a regular monthly basis, are my conversion rates going up or going down? Possibly, has something changed in my market, or am I doing things differently? If I'm say I've been working on my proposal template, making some improvements, I'd hope to see this number on the right increasing. If the middle number is looking a bit lower than I would expect, if one of my conversion rates is sort of a bit disappointing, then I can look at, well, how can I improve that? So if say the conversion rate from call to proposal is pretty low, then I could think about, well, maybe how can I improve my calls? How can I help people, make it easier for people to say yes to a proposal? Maybe I need a checklist of questions, or maybe I need some structure to my calls. Maybe I could write a template for an email that I send to people before the meeting, before the call, with some a useful blog or a relevant piece of content attached to it, so that it kind of warms them up and builds more trust before we have that call. That might make my conversion rate increase. So if I know what my conversion rates are, then I can start to get a sense for which parts of my marketing machine are working well and which bits aren't. So the next step is to work out how much you're prepared to spend to acquire a long-term loyal customer. So bear with me on this. I want you to imagine that I have a customer shop. I'm selling happy, long-term, loyal customers. You can walk into my shop and buy a customer just off the shelf, and you know that every customer that I sell they're going to be a happy, long-term customer, and they're going to be worth whatever an average long-term customer for you is for your business. Then that's what I'll be selling to you. So, how much would you be prepared to spend on buying a customer that's ready to sign on the dotted line as soon as you walk out of the shop with them? How much? Now, this is going to change. This is going to depend on your business. I can't tell you what that number should be. How much you're going to be prepared to spend on acquiring your customers will very much depend on your costs to deliver, how much it costs you to deliver your product or service. It'll also depend on your overheads, like salaries, office space, software subscriptions, admin, all of that kind of thing. All of your costs will affect how much you can and how much your customer is worth to you. How much do customers typically spend? How long do they typically stay a customer with you? How often do they buy? All of those things are going to depend on, going to affect how much you'd be prepared to spend on buying a customer. So I can't tell you how much that should be for your businesses. For your business, for some businesses, that might be quite low. If you're a business that sells lots of low value products, then you might only be able to spend a few pounds. or you might spend £50 per customer or £100, or I mean, for some businesses that sell really high value products or services, I've got a couple of clients actually who they're happy to spend more than £1,000 per new customer because they sell really high value services, and each customer is worth £100,000 or more. So spending a few £1,000s acquiring one new customer who's going to generate over £100,000 of revenue is still profitable for them. So even after all of their costs. So you have to make that decision for yourself. I can't tell you what that number should be. If you know what your profit margin is, then that's a good place to start. I recommend you speak to your accountant, get some advice, or you could do what a lot of my clients do when we first start working together. For today, is while you're watching this video, you can just pluck a number out of thin air, and just a number that feels about right. So gotta spend about this much. I could probably stretch it a bit more. No, that's too much. Yeah, about here's okay. That's usually how my customers pick this number to begin with. Obviously, I recommend you get some advice and hone this number so that you can be a bit more accurate with it. But for now, you can just pick a number that feels about right. However you do it, you need to be able to set yourself a budget so that for an average long-term loyal customer, you'd be happy spending your budgeted amount acquiring them. So we call that your customer acquisition cost. How much would you be prepared to spend acquiring a loyal customer? Now that we know how much we can afford to spend on our marketing, we can use our conversion rates to work out how much to spend at different stages of the buyer journey. So here's my buyer journey still with my 50% conversion rates. Say I can spend £200 acquiring a customer and still be in profit. So if 50% of my proposals turn into new customers, then that means I can spend £100 getting someone to the point of sending them a proposal. Because I know that if I send out 2 proposals at a cost of £100 each, getting that customer to the proposal, then I'll have spent £200 acquiring one new customer, which still means that I'm in profit. Hope you're with me. Hope this is all making sense so far. So now that I've got that, I can keep going back through my buyer journey. So 50% of 100 is £50. So I can spend £50 getting someone to a phone call, and I can then spend £25 getting someone to a referral. So what that might mean that if I have a customer who refers me a lot, then, or if I go networking and if I have some contacts who have the kind of clients that I want to work with, a really good referrer, then I know that I can happily spend £25 taking that person out for a few coffees and still be in profit. Or I can send them a bunch of flowers as a thank you to encourage them to send me another client. Or whatever it is, I can quite happily send them, make that investment in my referrals, knowing that it's a worthwhile investment. And if you go networking, you probably know how much you're spending on it per month. So, or if you don't know it off the top of your head, you can work it out. So if you know what your conversion rates are, you can work out how many referrals you need from your networking to be in profit. So you can think about how many one-to-ones do you need to have each month? How many meetings do you need to go to? Is your networking delivering a return on investment? And it doesn't matter whether your buyer journey is from referrals, or if it's from, in this case, a LinkedIn post, to a piece of content like a blog or a video or a guide, to a meeting, to a purchase, or if it's from, say, a digital advert like AdWords, to your website. If someone spends more than 10 seconds on your website, you could measure that. Then they add your product to basket and then they purchase. So if this was your business and these were your numbers and you were spending less than £25 per click on your ad, then we'd be able to say, yes, you're getting return on investment, you're making money. If you're spending £10 per click, you'd be over the moon, wouldn't you? Because you're clearly making profit. If you're spending £30 per click, then I'd be saying to you, okay, we need to either improve our website or our checkout process, or possibly make the advert more targeted so we're getting the right people clicking on the link rather than just anyone, so that we can increase our conversion rates. So what happens when we increase our conversion rate? So let's say we're spending, let's say this is our setup. Let's say hypothetically we're spending £30 per click on our AdWords, and we can't change that. and we're budgeting £25. So we work on our conversion rates, and we increase our conversion rates by 5% over those 3 stages in the buyer journey. What happens? So now we've got the same £200 per customer at the purchase point, but now with 55% conversion rate, we've now got we can spend £110 getting someone to add our product to their basket. We can spend £60, 50 pence getting someone to stay on our website, and we can spend £33.28 getting someone to click on the advert. So all of a sudden, if you're spending that same £30 per click on your ad, now you're getting ROI. So do you see why I get really excited about this? Because now you can, instead of having this, instead of not knowing if your marketing is working, now you've got this go or no go answer of, should we carry on with this marketing activity? Yes or no? And so the answer that we asked at the beginning is the money I'm spending generating profit? Now the answer has changed. It was no, but now we've worked on our conversion rates, and now we can see, yes, we are getting a profit. And if we worked on, or if we couldn't, if there was nothing more we could do to improve our conversion rates, and if we're doing everything we could and we can't get our conversion rates any higher, then we know that we can cut our losses on that advertising spend as quickly as possible. Because if we know, if that number was just completely unreachable, we could cut our losses much quicker rather than wasting money on marketing that's not working. So just to sum up, these are the 3 things that you need to do to work out if your marketing's working. These are the things that we've just been through. What are the steps in your buyer journey? What are the measurable gates that your customers walk through on their journey to buying from you? Then measure the customers you're getting through those gates and work out what your conversion rates are across your buyer journey. Then you've got to decide, how much are you prepared to spend per customer from my customer shop? Come into my customer shop, and how much would you buy a customer from me for? And then you can use your conversion rates to work out if the money that you're spending on marketing is delivering a return on investment or not. And this process isn't just useful for budgetary reasons. It can also mean that you can keep your marketing employees or your marketing agencies accountable. So if you've got a marketing agency who's running AdWords for you, for example, and they're saying, oh yeah, this is working really well, and you should keep paying us to do it. Well, you can look at your conversion rates and you can decide for yourself if it is actually generating profit for you or not. You don't have to take their word for it. I've tried to keep this video as simple as possible. Obviously, there are lots of nuances in this process, so please do, if you've gone through this and thought, oh yeah, no, I really want to do this, but I'm not quite sure how to implement it in practice, please do book a call with me. I'd be more than happy to go through it with you in detail and talk about how you can implement this in your business, what metrics you should use, what your buyer journey looks like, and all that kind of thing. So please do that if you need to. And before I go, I just wanted to share this example of what can happen when you're measuring your marketing effectively and when you're working out your conversion rates, when you're working on your conversion rates. So this is a lecturer who we worked with a few years ago, and a year after we started working with her, she emailed me this email saying, I looked over my goals for last year and for marketing, and in 12 months we wanted to raise our conversion rate from 30% to 36%. It's now 65%. We wanted to increase the average monthly spend per customer from £300 to £500. It's now £750. And we wanted to have 20 retainer clients, which we now have. We've tripled our business in a year. So as you can see, this is a pretty transformational process, which is why I wanted to share it with you in this video. I also have a PDF guide called The Engineer's Guide to Marketing Measurement. It's not just for engineers. If you're watching this and you're not an engineer, you'll probably still find it useful. You can download it for free. You don't need to put your email address or anything in it. You can just scan that QR code and it'll take you straight there. And I hope you found that useful. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, it'd be great to connect with you. Please just write me a quick message saying you just watched this video and you'd really like to connect, and I'll accept your request. And it'd be good to just connect with you. And if you want to book a call with me, there's a link to my diary on that second QR code there. So get in touch. It'd be great to hear from you. And please do like this video and subscribe to our channel so you'll see the next one. See you soon.